A historic peace deal in Colombia that ends more than 50 years of conflict. Hello, I'm Anand Naidu, and this is The Heat. It was a deadly war that lasted 52 years and tore Colombia apart. Some 220,000 people were killed in the conflict and more than 7 million were displaced. But on Monday, the Colombian government and the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia, better known as the FARC, finally brought an end to the conflict, the last armed conflict in Latin America, with a signing ceremony in Cartagena. Although the deal still needs to be voted on by Colombians at the beginning of next week, many are already celebrating this as a major new start for their country. We begin with CCTV correspondent Toby Muse, who joins us from Cartagena. And Toby, you were there in Cartagena to witness the peace deal signing ceremony. How did that event go, and what did both sides have to say? How significant is this for Colombia?
This was a day that millions of Colombians never thought they would see. The president of Colombia sitting down to put an end to a 52-year civil war with the FARC. But that's what we saw. President Juan Manuel Santos signing a peace accord with the guerrilla leader known as Timochenko, whose real name is Rodrigo Londoño. And I think we're going to have to get used to now calling him Rodrigo Londoño rather than his war name, Timochenko. It was a very emotional day. At one point, they asked for a moment of silence, and various people among the 2,500 guests began to weep silently. And it's important to remember, there's not one family in Colombia, rich or poor, who has not been affected by this war somehow. But there were also lighter moments. Seemingly, there were various air shows to coincide with the signing, and it seems the timing was a bit off. So 3 jets that are supposed to be coming at the end of the speeches roared over as Timochenko was giving his speech. And he was visibly startled by this, a testament to how deadly those airstrikes on the guerrillas have been. But he collected himself and said, well, at least they're here today to celebrate peace and not drop bombs on us. He also said later, which probably provoked the biggest round of applause, he publicly apologized. He said, in the name of the FARC, we apologize for all the hurt and pain that this conflict has caused. But also, a final thing, it was a deeply symbolic day. Everybody was dressed in white, and the pen the president and Timochenko used to sign this agreement is a pen made from a bullet. And on the side of that pen, it says, bullets wrote our past, education our future. There's a real sense that a new Colombia can be built after the signing of this peace agreement.
Right, so Toby, the peace deal has been signed. What are some of the major challenges that lie ahead?
Well, perhaps the biggest challenge will be tackling the paramilitaries, the far-right paramilitaries. These have been the old enemies of the guerrillas. These are illegal right-wing militias. They're often financed by drug trafficking, and they've been fighting with the guerrillas for at least 2 decades. Now, this is the leap of faith that the FARC are doing. They are getting ready to disarm. So now it's incumbent upon the guerrillas to now protect the guerrillas as they're now unarmed, and they need to tackle these paramilitaries. In practical terms, the next step is going to be a plebiscite. That will be next in the coming week. Colombians will go to the polls and vote on whether they approve this peace deal or not. Polls seem to suggest that Colombians are in favor and this peace deal will be approved. But the FARC privately are saying they want to see a minimum of 70% approval for this peace deal. They say anything less could be a bad sign. The FARC say, just as they know they need to change, they need to transition from an armed revolutionary group to a political party, Colombia needs to change. Colombia needs to be ready to welcome these ex-guerrillas with open arms, give them jobs, have them as neighbors. And in the past, Colombia has not been welcoming to those who have laid down their arms and tried to reintegrate into Colombian society.
Thanks, Toby. That's CCTV's Toby Muse reporting from Cartagena.